Today's lesson is going to be everybody's favorite project, how to make your very own mug. Now, up here are examples of three mug shapes that I tend to favor. One is kind of like a tankard shape. One is kind of like a combination between a tankard and I call it my Winnie the Pooh shape. And you also want to think about the shape of the handle that you used. On this mug, if you notice, I tend to drink my mugs with 2 fingers. A lot of people like to make it with 3 fingers. So this mug handle will work with either 3 or 2. And then sometimes I just make a fun shape because it sounds interesting. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this mug, which is the same size and shape, this mug will shrink down to be just a little bit bigger than this. Your clay shrinks at about 20%. So we need to keep that in mind when you're throwing on the wheel, which is what we're going to do next. I've already coned and domed 3 times to center my clay and wedge it on that. And now what I need to do is measure the size of my hockey puck. I know if I keep it within the size of my knuckles, then that's about the size I use to pull a mug from. The other thing is I'm going to use a pop can, which is 12 ounces, and make sure I've got plenty of room in my mug for that, so I know it holds about what a pop can. So, create the hockey puck. Okay, it's just the outside of my knuckles. Then I'm going to go ahead, open it up. Then we've got to compact the bottom so we don't get S cracks when it's drying. Piece. Put water down on both sides. Now again, the goal is to hit my height in 3 pulls. Inside finger's a little higher than the outside finger. That's the first pull. Wet the walls down again. Second pull. Now if we put the pop can in, we know we're almost where we need to be. I'm going to bring this lip in just a little bit. It's starting to flare out on me. I'm going to take. Alright, quick measure. Oh yeah, that's going to be a nice mug. Now, going to shape it. Been kind of in the mood to throw Winnie Pooh mugs today, so we're going to make this a Pooh mug. So, take my rib. I've wetted the walls down. Bring it in. Bring this out just a little bit. You don't want to make your lip flare too much because then your mug will dribble. Alright. Now I measure it really quick and it got a little wider than my knuckles. So I know that's just a little big for what I like. So I put my arms on my legs, 6 points of contact. Bring my mug in. Perfect. Now, I'm going to use a lip finisher, round that lip off. Then we're going to cut the foot. So I take my throwing stick, hold the sponge up on one end, and then I squeeze the sponge as I go down the clay, and I'm just going to follow the shape of the pot down to the back. I'm just squeeze the sponge as it goes down. Then take my potter's needle, slide it underneath. Finish the foot. I'm going to take the 45 and I'm just going to put it under a little bit, and that's going to keep the glaze from running down. Now I got to get the water out of the center, so I'm going to take my sponge tool, just take it, I'm also going to clean up the slurry on the inside. And I just clean off the back because it'll make cleanup easier for me tomorrow. Then clean most of the slurry off my hands, or slip. And I've got my mug. Now I'm going to put the handle's going to be about right here. If you notice, I like to start my handles here on the shoulder and then bring them down to the bottom. And our next phase is pulling a handle, which is what we're going to go to next.